Getting started with SketchUp. When we first launched this application, the first thing I want to do is I want to choose a template, or at least make sure the template is proper. The simple template, feet and inches, where we have green grass and a blue sky, that is what I prefer we first start using when we are just getting introduced with SketchUp. It helps with the orientation. So at the bottom here, I'm going to now click Start. And when this window first loads, you'll notice that you have an instructor window. We can get rid of that. I'm going to teach you how to use most of the tools it's going to take you through. And then on the far left, there's another tool palette that probably pops up by default that you can eliminate. That's for architectural drafting. And this tool palette, what I want to do is close some tool palettes and open others to maximize your efficiency. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here to View, and I'm actually going to hide the toolbar across the top, because we're going to open up the large tool set under View Tool Palettes, Large Tool Set. And by having this floating dock with all of the tools, we now have a much more efficient workspace. I find it more efficient. And I've also maximized the screen real estate by stretching my screen to use as much of the visible space as possible. If you click the green dot here, I have a different operating system right now than you're running on. Yours will actually maximize and take up the entire screen, which is a really nice way to work. Now, the first thing you should notice is there's a guy here standing in the middle of the screen. This is a great point of reference. Most of the first few documents we're going to be creating is in inches, pretty small. And if he's to scale, I know I can zoom all the way in here so I can start working on the origin, but his feet are filling up and nice and large in this screen. So I zoomed in to where his foot's pretty large over here. I'm going to click on him with the arrow tool and hit delete before I start any of my designs over here in the origin. But it helps me as a point of reference for scale so that I'm not zoomed too far in or too far out. So the first thing I'm now going to do is to use the line tool. Line tool is this pencil up here in the tool palette. It's also the letter L. Will load it quickly as a keyboard shortcut. And I'm going to click on the origin. First thing you should notice is that as you get close to these axes, it'll tell you that you're currently on the red axis, the green axis, or you're on the blue axis. And I've single clicked so that way my cursor is loaded and I'm not pressing and holding right now. And when I place my cursor in the direction I want it to go, now I'm ready to enter the dimension I want to enter. And as a quick tutorial I do in class, I ask that you make this first line 2 inches long. So I hit the number 2 on my keyboard, and then I hit enter. And the line went to 2 inches long. It's in the proper direction along the red axis. I'll also notice the length of the last entry in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. Down here, it'll tell you how long that last line is. Now, because I moved and my cursor is loaded, you can see that it's telling you roughly the length of the line you're currently stretching across the screen. I'm going to do the same thing in the vertical direction, which is the blue axis, and I'm going to hit 2 for 2 inches, and I'm going to navigate myself all the way back to the 0 value along the red axis, and I'm going to close this square, this 2x2 square. Once you close and snap your square shut, it should fill with a solid surface. Otherwise, it's not completely closed. All of the lines that I just created were along the X, Y, or Z axis. And actually, I didn't even use the Y yet. But I'm ensuring that my lines are straight and they're perpendicular to one another to ensure that the dimensions are being applied appropriately. Now, that's the line tool. If I want to get out of here and actually select something, I can hit the space bar and it'll take me right back to my selection tool. So if I wanted to select that surface and maybe delete it, it's a nice quick way to navigate back using the keyboard, as opposed to navigating over to the arrow and then back over to your screen and back over to your tool palette and back over to your screen. So I've given you the letter L for the line tool, and I've given you the space bar for the arrow tool, the two tools you'll probably use the most. So sometimes I just keep my fingers resting on those two buttons and I navigate back and forth between the two so I can work efficiently. What I've noticed is now I've selected that surface, the lines are all there, but the surface has been opened. It's no longer a closed surface. If you ever want to redo that surface, all you need to do is click and redraw one of the sides, and it should snap shut once again. All right. So the next tool I'm going to lead you to is the push-pull tool. And while I could create a cube out of this surface by typing 2 inches along the y coordinate, 2 inches back along the x, and then another 2 inches back to the original x-axis location, I can close this surface. I can close all of these points off, and actually I'll get some snap reference points that now knows I'm kind of trying to close this object off, and it's snapping, so I don't even have to type in 2 anymore in order to close that cube off. Well, that's fine and dandy. It's just a little slow. So when you're going to create three-dimensional objects, this next tool, which takes us from the 2D realm into 3D, is the push-pull tool, probably your third most used tool if I had to think of one off the top of my head. So I'm going to click on that surface using the push-pull tool. Also happens to be the letter P in your keyboard shortcuts. If you know the name of the tool, it helps with the keyboard shortcut here. So it's the letter P, and now I got to hit 2 and enter, and it saves me time in entering all or creating all of those lines and snapping all of those surfaces shut. And if I've done it this way, I've created a solid object on all sides that is 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches cubed. So there's my object and some really basic functionality for this tool. Few additional features: if you need to zoom in or zoom out or navigate around your object, the rollerball should be your zoom in and zoom out feature. And if you press and hold the rollerball, it should allow you 3D orbit. And if I look on the left-hand side of my screen, the 3D orbit tool should get dark when I press and hold my rollerball down. So this is some really basic navigation that you need to use. I think you need to get comfortable with in order for you to navigate quickly through these assignments. And so thus far, we've learned how to select using the space bar and getting the arrow tool activated, or the selection tool activated. The L key taking us to the line tool so we can create lines for both layout and construction. And then the P key for the push-pull tool, allowing us to take two-dimensional surfaces and creating them or making them three-dimensional, and also then to go back and manipulate your 3D surfaces as well. So you can grab a surface and add or remove content from it. So 3 basic tools, hopefully a quick tutorial that can get you set up and navigating quickly.